Hey everybody, welcome back to Stickers on the Mic. Andrew here with you again today. We're rounding the corner of May 2021, and I'm very excited to be dialing in Chris from Virginia Beer Co. in Williamsburg, Virginia. Longtime fan of their stickers. And we got a few really cool things to talk about today related to summer and the world opening back up. So Chris, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
This is great. So I was talking to Chris before the show, everybody, and I was like, I have loved the Virginia Beer Co. logo and sticker for a long time, and he's wearing it on his shirt. Those of you who can't see it, those of you who are just listening, it is a sort of cool geometric shape with the script in it. And Chris, I feel like you were a little bit of ahead of a trend, and your design and your whole team there, perhaps, on sort of the rainbow motif and aesthetic, and I remember that really jumping out to me early on. Everybody's doing it now for different reasons, but how did before we get to that, I want to get into how did you start Virginia Beer Co?
Sure. So it was an idea way back in 2009, 2010, and it took a long time to get here, and I'd say maybe we're meticulous, probably to a fault, with how we run our business, and that was certainly the case with how we opened our business. I met my co-founder at school here in Williamsburg, Virginia, at the College of William and Mary, and we eventually ended up coming back here. I came back at the end of 2012, thought we'd have a brewery open in 2014, March 2016, so really nailed it. But yeah, it was a long process to get open, but what we really envisioned was it's kind of summed up in our motto at this point, is beer, people, purpose. So great beer, top-notch beer, and then people being about our people that work with us and our community, and the purpose again touching on that community and how we act.
That's awesome. So yeah, you do it for a few years there, and then you get to do a very interesting survival story to come to the other side of this past year. I work with someone who owns a brewery here in Denver. I have some dear friends in the brewing industry, and we've had other people who brew on the show here locally in Boulder. I mean, we do a huge amount of business in beer, right? I don't have any beer stickers behind me, which is sad, but we love the beer stickers. How was that getting through this?
It was a challenge. I think looking back now, it's been 14 months or so. I'd say we generally feel pretty lucky. There were a lot of other businesses and people that had a much harder time than we did. Our sales channels are pretty diversified. Not only do we have a tap room, but we sell beer in cans to grocery stores and convenience stores. We sell draft beer to restaurants and bars. So we have a lot of different ways to sell. A lot of those disappeared, but not all of them. Whereas if you're in a restaurant or bar, most of your opportunities to sell your products, at least for a short time there, disappeared completely and then kind of came back slowly. So it was certainly a challenge. Our main goal the entire time was to keep our entire team employed. That was it, and we did it. So, and once we got through the initial panic, it was more like, okay, everyone's still here. We didn't have to lay anybody off. All good. Now, how do we support our community? And we ended up supporting, I'd say, more than we ever have in 2020 in terms of time and money, because there were so many people in need. So yeah, it was challenging, but we're certainly on the luckier side.
That's awesome. So you got to really double down on that people part of your mission and keep the business going, right?
Yeah, I think we all saw it that we knew that. We all know that there are plenty of issues in this country, but they came more and more to the forefront, I'd say, last year.
Totally.
Watching our neighbors and communities struggle. And the thought was just that's part of our mission, so we need to do it even more now that there are people that are in greater need.
Totally. like I said, I've always loved sort of the aesthetic of your logo, and again, this is the show's business growth and marketing. So let's dig a little bit into the marketing side. What you've got. Well, I actually can't describe the shape. What is that shape? What do you call it?
Yeah, it's funny. I guess I can tell you the origin story of the logo, which explains the shape. So we're the Virginia Beer Company. It's a very broad name. We didn't really want to pigeonhole ourselves. This was back in 2012 when we were deciding on the name.
Yeah, because that's just like, then you're like all of Virginia and then Delmarva and North Carolina. People, you go regional. You know what I mean? It's beer.
Yeah, from a geography perspective, it didn't pigeonhole us, and from a branding perspective for our individual beers, it didn't pigeonhole us either. So our actual one of our designers. Oddly enough, it's just a random thing, looked at the state symbols, and the state boat of Virginia, who knew there were state boats, is called a dead rise. And if you cut a dead rise and look at the hull of the dead rise, this is a stylized version of the hull.
That's like the side plan cross-section view of the boat. I can see it now. There's the hull, the sides of the boat, and then you called it what is it called?
A dead rise.
Dead rise.
And then,
that's awesome.
So that's how the shape came about. And then there's some curvature to the letters in Virginia.
Yes. He's showing me, folks, but I'm looking at it, and I'm going to, of course, put a photo in the post. You should look at the post. Go ahead.
So that happened back actually to, I mentioned my co-founder and I met at William and Mary, and the most famous thing on the campus of William and Mary is a bridge called the Crimdale Bridge.
Oh,
and
wow.
If you look at the picture of the Crimdale Bridge, you would see this exact curvature. And the bridge itself was actually in an initial logo that we had. We ended up changing it. But so that's there's some personal touches in here that harken back to our past and the founding of the group.
Oh man, that's great, and I love sort of the intentional nature of that. And then you do the co, which is smaller and trendier, and also kind of slims down all the way to like a point there in the hull, and then you got the script on the top, which I've always really grooved on. I like a nice mix of font styles without overdoing it. So very cool. Always been a fan. But we're moving into our time, and you talk about community. And for folks on the show listening, we already had a recent episode with some folks in Boulder who are doing a sticker project, and now talking to Chris about community. And one giant community is going to be really our theme on the show. So sort of get ready for our repeat listeners, and I know there's a few of you out there. But Chris, when you said community, and we're talking about this next sort of marketing and season, right? There's a few things happening. Obviously, the country's opening up, and you're probably seeing foot traffic, that is rising. We'd hope. And then, of course, we're coming onto a holiday weekend, it's almost Memorial Day, and then we go into June, which has now become like Rainbow Month, Pride Month. And that's a positive thing, too, right? And then we'll have Juneteenth as well. I mean, we have a few local events we're highlighting, but specific to you, and I opened the show with this, I loved how early on you guys had that rainbow logo, and just can you walk us through a little bit of that at the time? I feel like it's been years you've been doing this.
Yeah, no, thanks for noticing it. It has been years. I think that was 2016, the year we opened.
Right, yeah, okay.
So a long time ago. Part of it is actually, we came back to Williamsburg, Virginia to open this brewery, and a lot of people, this is the South. Williamsburg wasn't necessarily the most progressive place in the world, especially back in 2012, 2013, 2014 when we were opening the brewery, or working on opening the brewery. And one of our goals with our project with the brewery was to change that. We thought it could be better, and there's a place for everybody here, and it didn't necessarily feel that way, I think, to form the LGBT community. So that was one of our founding goals, was to change that and be a place that's comfortable for everybody. And a big part of that was supporting that community. And 2/5 of our management team is part of that community. So it's real and authentic. It doesn't just come from a bunch of people that aren't in that community. And I think it just kind of sums up who we are and who we want to be, and the fact that everyone should be comfortable here, not just in our brewery, but in our community in this town. So.
That's super positive, man. I have to say, like I said, it's a trend now. Like, to market to and towards. I mean, Lego has a set right now. That's a big deal. Everyone is awesome, right? Like, that's positive. That's this year. There's a whole history, right? There's a legacy of marginalization and oppression, and that I really appreciate that y'all have done that, and it's not a bandwagon thing. I've noticed, and I think for people who are in the beer world, it can be a very interesting. You talk about community and people. It can be really positive, but it also, every industry has its sort of challenges, right? So,
it's kind of funny. It's never meant to be like, it's almost internal in a way too, because that first year we actually put that logo on a shirt, but just for our team. It was a gift to everybody that worked here.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But it just became, people were so excited by it, and this town has changed and this community has changed, that people ask for shirts and tank tops, which we have now.
So it turned into merch, but it was like, it wasn't about that, right?
It was nothing. It really wasn't about that at all. But yeah, it's just, people
that's
really
so positive. I'm glad to hear that, because like you said, the last year has been very interesting, just for business and culture. And we've covered a little bit on the show. We don't dig too deep into politics, but I mean, it's important to call what is real and true out there in the world. So, and back to your side of the community and there, folks, when you go on the website, part of why, again, I'm drawn to this, on your community page, everyone's wearing this shirt. You even have a beer with that logo on it. So let's get back. We've talked people, we've talked purpose. Let's talk beer really quick. Obviously you're passionate about it. You have your favorite. What's the one with the rainbow on it? And then I want to get into your favorite that y'all are doing right now.
Yeah, it's called Friends of Dorothy. So we did it last year for the first time, actually. And we just canned it again. Obviously, Pride's coming up next week, start of Pride Month. So we just canned the 2021 version, and it's going out across the state. That'll be exciting.
And it's called Friends of Dorothy?
It sure is.
Oh, there, the Pride IPA. I see what you're saying. I'm looking at it now on the site.
Yeah, that's actually the name.
That's awesome. So, you have to know what your customers like. You have to know what you like with beer. You have to know what's tastes good and going to sell, right? It's competitive. What have you noticed as far as trends and the way like the industry has evolved in your time in it?
Yeah, it's certainly evolved. I'd say it's not necessarily changed for the better. I think it's become a little more homogenous in terms of the styles of beers that people want, and we all want to cater to the consumer in a way. So, so many IPAs, so many sours, so much more stuff in beer. Yeah,
the juicy, the juicy thing. I personally only drink lagers, but that's because our local bar is a lager-only place. We do our meetings there, and that's it. For me, it's just, that's where I'm at, right? Yeah.
And I can respect that, and, I do enjoy those types of beers from time to time.
But the IPA is what sells, man. You know what I mean?
Well, so if you look at what we send into the market, the wider market, into grocery stores and gourmet bottle shops, it tends to be IPAs and sours because those things sell. But what I love about our model is that we have two brewing systems. So one that's a pretty large scale and one that's a much smaller scale. And one of our goals is variety, always. We have 16 taps here at the brewery. And it's not just variety within IPAs or within sours. Last year, we canned 125 different beers. This year, we're on track for close to 150.
Wow. Limited stuff, though, right? To build the buzz and get people in, fill in growlers, and just getting that beer out there.
Yeah, but and it allows us to do so many different styles of beer, because you're a lager person, right? So we do English style beers, which are pretty much fun. We'll do a 3.5% pale mild. We have an amber ale, classic American amber in the tank right now. I mean, you name it, we've probably tried it.
Right.
Which I think just keeps it interesting and gives us wide appeal, and it doesn't put us down that narrow path of everyone drinks that, let's only brew that. We like other things, so we brew them.
That's awesome. Yeah, I feel like there was. I'd have to look back at my notes, so to speak. But I was talking to someone last year about that. How many beers they were doing, so many different ones last year and the year alone, and every year, the overall variety and volume of those has increased, which I think is interesting.
I think it's part of the craft beer movement.
Just way. It's like the way of. It's just like if you're not doing it, you're not a craft brewer.
Yeah, and people want to try something new, and I get that. So do I. When it comes to food or whatever it might be. So we're giving them something new 3 times a week, pretty much.
That's pretty cool. Right on, man. Like I said, it looks, the logo for this month's beer is awesome. I love it. And you got the full flag there, actually all the way down with the pink and the white, the brown and the black, which is positive.
Yeah. The sticker, it's funny, the sticker was always just the rainbow. But when we got to this can design, it was last summer.
Yeah.
A lot of things happening in our country.
Lots of things happening in the country.
So we wanted to be as inclusive as possible, hence the inclusion of new colors on the top and bottom.
So this is the Friends of Dorothy Pride IPA. It's 7.3 ABV. It comes in 4-pack, 16-ounce cans. Of course, you can get it there. It's a IPA. It's got the El Dorado, the Citra hops, and like you even say on your site here, you got the whole flag on there, and that's very positive. And then you got merch related to it too. So if folks are heading to Williamsburg, you got to get on to 2nd Street. Chris, you gave us a little bit where you came from. What's your favorite?
Favorite beer?
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Put you on the spot.
I know. No, it's probably So my mom is English, so
okay.
When I got to drinking age, I was lucky enough to be able to drink in some English pubs. So we pretty much always have 1 or 2 English beers on tap. So if you're looking for me, I'm probably sitting at the bar. Well, when we get to the bar, with the 20-ounce pour of the ESB.
The ESB. Oh, you have an ESB. Cool. Yeah. That's a fun style. I like
ESB.
That's a good one. Well, fantastic. Thank you for joining us. Good luck. Summertime is obviously, people are on patios. They're having fun. They're trying to get outside. So people can, if you're in the region, where are you distributing sort of in your neck of the woods?
Sure. So we sell beer across Virginia, except for the Eastern Shore. It's pretty much everywhere. And then in New York City and New York State.
Oh, wow.
And then if you happen to be in the UK or France or the Netherlands or Japan or Korea, you'll find our beer, and including Friends of Dorothy in some of those places.
How did you get distribution that way into those select countries?
We've had an export program since we opened, and those are just the countries that we're in right now.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So international cans of Friends of Dorothy if you happen to be in any of those places.
What is popular there from your stuff that has surprised you?
It's funny, IPAs. So here I was thinking that when we go to Tokyo, the customer would be asking for a different beer, but no, looking for that hazy, juicy IPA.
Wow, that's so funny. Yeah, trends are fascinating. Well, folks, everybody who's listening or watching even, it's at Virginia Beer Co. on all the social channels. You can definitely hit their page as well. It is Virginia Beer Co. And they will take care of you. So, Chris, thank you and to your whole team for what you've been doing for a very long time. It's cool that you are so focused on those core pillars, those 3 that you have. And thanks for being a Sticker Giant customer too. We say on this, but go ahead.
Okay, no, thanks for all you guys do for us.
We say always, of course, on the show, every sticker has a story, but this one is one of my favorite beer stickers, and beer stickers are one of my favorites of all of the stickers, not just because we do a lot of business in beer, folks, but, when I moved to Colorado, I realized how big, that was a long time ago now, almost 20 years ago, but it was small, right, and getting big, and the last 2 decades has shown that it's just a cool place to now do some good too, right? There's a lot that goes on now in your space, Chris, and I appreciate that you guys are so motivated by that, and you're, of course, making good beer.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on, Andrew. Appreciate it.
All right. We'll see you next time, folks. One Giant Community continues. This has been a great focus on Pride and the LBD. Oh, man, it's such a mouthful when I'm talking on the show. But the entire community that is far more than rainbows. And Chris, good luck this summer, and we'll see you soon.
That wraps up this episode of Stickers on the Mic, brought to you by StickerGiant.com. You can download us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, or your favorite podcatcher. Thanks again for listening to Stickers on the Mic. We'll see you next time.